The story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a towering figure in the American civil rights movement, is one of resilience, hope, and sacrifice. But beneath the inspirational speeches and marches lay a shadowy tale of surveillance, intimidation, and a relentless effort to dismantle his influence. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, an institution sworn to protect the Constitution, waged a covert war against a man whose only weapon was nonviolence and whose only demand was justice. And now, with recent revelations brought into focus by Donald Trump's decision to consider releasing classified documents tied to King's assassination, the world is bracing itself for potentially explosive truths that could redefine this dark chapter of history. What secrets do these documents hold? Could they reveal the full extent of the FBI's vendetta against Dr. King? And how deep does this conspiracy go? To answer these questions, we must rewind the clock to an era when the civil rights movement and its most prominent leader were viewed as existential threats by the government. It began in the mid-1950s when Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as the voice of a burgeoning civil rights movement. His leadership in the Montgomery bus boycott and his role in forming the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, catapulted him onto the national stage. King's vision was clear: equality through nonviolent resistance. But this vision posed a threat to the entrenched systems of racial segregation and inequality, and, in the eyes of the FBI, to national security itself. J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's powerful and notoriously paranoid director, was determined to crush King's influence. Hoover, deeply rooted in the prejudices of his time, viewed King as a destabilizing force in American society. And with the Cold War's anti-communist hysteria serving as a convenient backdrop, Hoover seized on unfounded claims of communist infiltration within the civil rights movement to justify his actions. The FBI's campaign against King was orchestrated under COYNTELPRO, Counterintelligence Program, a secretive operation designed to neutralize individuals and groups perceived as threats to the status quo. Under COINTELPRO, the Bureau employed a range of dirty tactics: wiretapping phones, planting bugs in hotel rooms, and monitoring every aspect of King's life. But it didn't stop there. The FBI actively sought to destroy King's reputation and credibility through psychological warfare. One of the most egregious examples of this was the infamous suicide letter sent to King in 1964. This anonymous letter, accompanied by audio recordings allegedly capturing King's private conversations, accused him of moral failings and urged him to take his own life. The letter chillingly stated, "You have just 34 days. There is only one thing left for you to do." Its purpose was clear: to break King's spirit and silence his voice. Though the FBI's authorship of the letter is now an established fact, its sinister implications remain a stark reminder of the lengths to which Hoover's bureau was willing to go. But King's resolve was unshakable. Despite the relentless harassment, he continued to inspire millions with his unwavering commitment to justice. In 1963, he delivered his legendary "I Have a Dream" speech during the March on Washington, a moment that solidified his place in history. Yet even as the nation celebrated his vision, Hoover described him as the most dangerous Negro in America. By the mid-1960s, the FBI's obsession with King had reached fever pitch. As King began to broaden his focus beyond racial equality to include economic justice and opposition to the Vietnam War, his enemies multiplied. His Poor People's Campaign, an ambitious initiative to unite impoverished communities across racial lines, was seen as a direct threat to the social and economic order. The FBI doubled down on its surveillance, monitoring his every move and spreading disinformation to discredit him. In the days leading up to his assassination, King traveled to Memphis, Tennessee, to support striking sanitation workers. a cause that epitomized his fight for economic equality. On April 4th, 1968, King was fatally shot on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. The man convicted of his murder, James Earl Ray, was captured months later, but questions surrounding the circumstances of King's death have never fully been answered. In 1999, a civil trial brought by the King family concluded that there was a conspiracy to assassinate King involving elements of the government. This verdict, though largely ignored by mainstream media, underscored the lingering doubts about the FBI's role in King's demise. Was the Bureau's campaign of surveillance and harassment merely the tip of the iceberg? Could they have been complicit in orchestrating or facilitating his assassination? And now, with Donald Trump's announcement of potentially releasing classified documents related to King's assassination, these questions have resurfaced with renewed urgency. What might these files reveal? The FBI's obsession with King is already well documented, but could the truth be even darker than we've imagined? Could these files confirm suspicions of a coordinated effort to eliminate him as a threat? Dr. King's story is not just one of heroism and sacrifice. It is also a cautionary tale about the abuse of power. The FBI's actions against King were not merely an attack on an individual, but an assault on the very ideals of democracy. They serve as a stark reminder of what happens when institutions designed to protect the people instead become instruments of oppression. As we await the potential release of these classified documents, the stakes couldn't be higher. The truth, no matter how unsettling, must come to light. Dr. King once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. But justice requires accountability. It requires confronting the uncomfortable realities of our past so that we may learn from them and forge a better future." For decades, the story of Martin Luther King Jr. has inspired generations to dream of a fairer, more just world. But his legacy is also a call to vigilance. The fight for justice is never easy, and those who challenge the status quo will always face resistance. Yet, as King's life demonstrates, the power of truth and nonviolence can overcome even the most formidable obstacles. In the end, the truth about King's assassination, whatever it may be, will not only reshape our understanding of history, but also reinforce the enduring relevance of his message. As new revelations come to light, the world will once again be reminded of the incredible resilience of one man's dream against the might of a powerful institution.